Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're continuing our independent football predictions today. And our next team lost their star quarterback but returns 8 starters on the defensive side of the ball and are looking to get to their 3rd straight bowl game. They are the Army Black Knights. Jeff Monken has done an incredible job as head coach for the Black Knights, getting them to back-to-back bowls and winning both of them, and then surprising a lot of people last year by going 10-3, including their 2nd straight win over Navy. But going into his 5th year with the Black Knights, I don't see him having as much success as he has had the past 2 years, especially after losing their star quarterback in Ahmad Bradshaw, who rushed for 1,746 yards last year. They only returned 3 starters total on the offensive side of the ball, including just 1 offensive lineman. But on the defense, that's where their strength is going to be, and I think that's where Army's going to lean on, and that's how they're going to be able to win some of these close games. It's going to be their defense with 8 returning starters, including Cole Christensen at the linebacking position, the leader of that linebacking core, then Elijah Riley and Jalen McClinton in the secondary. So solid secondary there. I think one of the strongest points of this Army defense. And like I said, that's going to be what's going to be able to get them to some of these close games and see if they can make their 3rd straight bowl game. They open up the season against Duke, which is a team that Army beat last year 21-16. But Duke is not the team that they were last year. They returned 15 starters, 8 on offense, 7 on defense. I love Daniel Jones at quarterback. I think he's going to make some big-time strides from what he did last year. He has a lot of wide receivers coming back, most of them seniors, so very experienced offense, and the defense under David Cutcliffe is going to be strong once again as well. It's on the road. Army breaking in a new quarterback, trying to get things rolling on offense with those 3 returning starters. I just don't see them going on the road and getting a win over a solid Duke Blue Devil team, so that's going to be a loss for them. But then they get a win over Liberty, who just now made the transition from FCS to FBS. Last year, beating Baylor in the season opener, a big-time upset. But it's very different when you have to play an FBS school every week instead of just one time a year, maybe twice a year, and pulling off a big-time upset there. So while Liberty, I think, will have some success eventually, and they do return up a lot of starters this year, including their quarterback, who had a great year in the FCS last year, I don't see them beating Army in just their second game in the FBS. Then Army faces Hawaii. Then it's another win. Hawaii, a team that I really don't expect a whole lot about this year. I actually think this game could be pretty evenly matched between the Black Knights and the Warriors. But in the end, with home field advantage and Army, I think having an edge on the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to give them the edge over Hawaii. So now they're 2-1, and then they go on the road to Oklahoma. Well, that's going to be a loss. We know that. They lost to Ohio State last year. They had to go to Ohio State, so it's no big deal. They have to play one of these big-time powerhouses. Oklahoma, solid quarterback. They lose Baker Mayfield. They have Kyler Murray. I'm not too worried about this game for Oklahoma by any means. Army shouldn't be either. It's more likely going to lose this game to the Sooners, and it's no big deal. They went 9-3 last year with a blowout loss to Ohio State. But then they go to Buffalo. This is a big-time game if they want to try to get back to a bowl game. Buffalo, it's on the road, and this is a team that could really surprise some people in the MAC this year with quarterback Tyree Jackson, Anthony Johnson, and their wide receiver, Anthony Johnson. Some analysts have Buffalo as one of the better wide receiving corps in the entire nation. And then on the defensive line, on defense in general, you got Chuck Harris and Khalil Hodge. So this is a Bulls team that I really think could surprise people in the MAC. It is on the road. A lot of experience for this Buffalo team. I think Army goes on the road and loses this game as well. And it's really unfortunate for Army. They have to play 3 straight road games. They do have a bye week that breaks that up here going into the San Jose State game. And I don't expect too much out of San Jose State this year. They've struggled for a while now. Made a bowl game, I believe, back in 2015, but barely. They were 5-7, won it, still finished 6-7. Had a couple of rough years these past couple of years. Despite it being on the road, Army is coming off a bye week, and I would think that this late in the season, they're going to be 5 games in, plus a bye week, that the offense will start to click a little bit and still look okay. I think they get a win over San Jose State, and so now they're 3-3. They're back at 500. Then they get Miami, Ohio at home. This is going to be the bulk of the schedule for Army, and probably this 3-game stretch here against Miami, Ohio, Eastern Michigan, and Air Force is going to determine if the Black Knights get back to a bowl game or not. They start with Miami, Ohio. They returned their quarterback in Gus Ragland, one of the better quarterbacks in the MAC, I think, in my opinion. They get Alonzo Smith back at running back and 16 total starters for the Red Hawks this year. So this is a Miami, Ohio team that I think, once again, could compete in the MAC like they have in recent years. Struggled last year. I thought they were going to get to a bowl game, only finished, I believe, 5-7. It is at home for Army. I think they could get the win here, but I'm going to give the win to the Red Hawks. I just don't see Army with the inexperience on the offensive side of the ball and Miami, Ohio's experience, that they have experience on the offensive side of the ball. I just don't see them beating Miami, Ohio in this game. On the road at Eastern Michigan, a team that last year lost 28-27 to Army, so a very, very close game there, and that was against a better Army team. This year, a weaker Army team. Eastern Michigan returning a decent number of starters there, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They're going to have a really, really strong defense. This game is on the road. I'm going to once again give the win to Eastern Michigan, another MAC team. Army playing a lot of those this year, but with this game being on the road and with Army, like I said, really for me, I have a lot of questions on the offensive side of the ball. I just don't see them getting the win over the Eagles, so another loss there. And then unfortunately another loss to Air Force. And that's going to be a big-time blow for them. They're going to have to probably win their last 3 to get to at least the 6 wins, be in consideration for a bowl game. Air Force, they have Arian Worthman at quarterback, and 3 of their top wide receivers return this year, so they're going to have a really potent offense. Last year they lost 21-0 to Army, but you've got to keep in mind this was an Army team that went 9-3 last year. One of those losses coming to Ohio State, one of those losses coming by 4 to Tulane. So this was a really, really solid Army team last year, and they lose practically their entire offense, so a big bulk of their team. So while I think maybe they could get a win over Miami, Ohio, maybe a win over Air Force at home, since those are going to be the ones they need to win, I just don't see them pulling off the win over Air Force here. But they do get back-to-back wins over Lafayette and Colgate right there. So back-to-back wins there. And then Army, like Navy, is going to have 2 weeks off in preparation for the annual Army-Navy game. A game the Army has owned these past 2 years, a two-game win streak over the midshipmen. I don't think they're going to make it 3 straight this year. Navy returns just 9 starters, so Army actually owning the edge there with 11 returning starters, but they return their quarterback in Malcolm Perry, and even if he doesn't start, you've got Zach Abbey and a really good quarterback crew for the midshipmen this year, a team that I really think is going to compete in the American Athletic Conference this year. So you had a pretty decent offense going up against for Navy also having a very strong defense with a strong defensive line and a strong secondary. I just don't see Army getting a win over Navy for the 3rd straight year this season. So Navy, I think, by far a more experienced team, more talented team this year, which is going to give Army a 5-7 record and just missing out on a bowl game. And I think that is pretty realistic and pretty understandable. They lost a lot of talent from last season. I mean, last year they went 10-3, beat San Diego State in the bowl game 42-35. They lost some big-time talent. Ahmad Bradshaw, of course, being the big name that they lost. I just don't see them replicating the same success that they've had the past 2 years. I think Jeff Monken is going to do a great job once again this year. Could get them back to a bowl game. And I think if he doesn't get them back this year, he will continue to do so to continue his progress with the Black Knights team next year and the years to come. But I think 5-7 is reasonable when you look at the schedule they have to go up against. If there's a loss that I think could turn into a win for Army, I think, like I said, by far the biggest stretch of the season is from October 20th to November 3rd when they've got Miami, Ohio, Eastern Michigan, Air Force, 2 of those games coming at home. So they're going to have to win at least 1 of those, maybe even 2 of those. Maybe they can win 2 of those 3 and get back to a bowl game. But I'm just not seeing it right now. Those are some tough MAC opponents, and I just don't see Army getting back to their 3rd straight bowl game under Jeff Monken. But, hey, who knows? He surprised us before. Maybe he will surprise us again. I can't wait to see this Army team. It's always good when Army has success in football. So, as always, please go check us out on Twitter at Gridiron Expert, on Instagram at The Gridiron Expert, and always here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.